Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining us on a late afternoon, on a Friday afternoon. I really appreciate you taking your time out to be here today. Today's session is going to be on the quality and compliance meeting. And basically, it's how we're going to comply with Standard 2.2 and the legislation around how we're going to manage your continuous improvement throughout your organisation. Everyone who's attending this webinar are all our clients, so you all have our policies and procedures, forms and documentation. So I'm going to be focusing on our documentation and what we use for managing your continuous improvement throughout your organisation. What we're finding when we go to audit is the auditor is specifically looking for how are you managing your continuous improvement throughout your organisation. 2.2 is the standard that focuses around that, so that's what we're going to be talking about as standard 2.2. So for those who haven't met me before, my name is Angela Connell-Holden. I am the owner and director of Vivacity RTO Coaching Consulting, and welcome to our webinar. So we have 5 attendees online at the moment. I'm going to be sharing my desktop today. I did have a PowerPoint, but unfortunately my PowerPoint's decided to have a crash today, so we won't be going through the PowerPoint. But what I will be doing is going through our documentation and looking at the documentation that you'll be using as part of your continuous improvement, in particular starting with the policy and procedure, and then going through the documents that relate to that and how you're going to manage your continuous improvement throughout your organisation. Okay, so if we start with, I'm just going to share my desktop. Let's get it to go there. Yep. So you should be able to see the policies and procedures right now. If someone could just let me know whether they're seeing those policies and procedures now, just go on the chat section and just say yes or no. If you're either seeing my desktop, yep, all good. Thanks, Ben. Okay, so this is the quality and compliance manual. One of the things that I recommend for all of our clients is put this policy and procedure manual in the soft copy on your desktop somewhere where you can access it on a regular basis, because this is your Bible. This is what you're going to use to be able to identify policies and procedures. And if you have a question about anything, you just click on find and do a search on that word. So I'm looking for standard 2.2, so I'm going to just go for a search. And I do this all the time. I'm always in and out of this policy. Even though I wrote it, I'm constantly in and out of the policy and procedure manual, looking at the standards and looking at how it relates to everything. So if we go to standard 2.2, so we've got standard 2.1 is basically, and I've got the draft version here, so you'll see some highlighter stuff. This is the next version that's coming out, so you'll just see some draft stuff in there. So 2.1, the one above, is basically if you have any non-compliances with any other standards, you'll be non-compliant with 2.1 as well. So 2.1 is, as the CEO, you will ensure that the RTO is compliant with all of the standards. 2.2 is how the RTO will continuously improve its practices throughout the organisation. And also, I'm just going to zoom in on that. RTO systematically monitors the RTO's training and assessment strategies and practices to ensure ongoing compliance with Standard 1. This means that you will audit, that you will conduct a yearly audit of your RTO to make sure that it is systematically, so you're meeting the requirements of the standards in the legislation, and that you will be updating your training and assessment strategies on a yearly basis. So that's basically what A means. B means systematically evaluates and uses the outcomes of the evaluation. So that's you conducting industry consultation, collecting quality indicator data, doing event miss reporting, completing opportunities for improvement, complaints and appeals, things like that. So that's the data you're collecting, but you're not only collecting that data, you're evaluating that data. and uses the outcomes of that evaluations to continually improve the RTO's training and assessment strategies and practices. And then you evaluate that information, and it includes and not limited to quality and performance. So that's your quality indicators, data collected under clause 7.2, validation, that you're conducting validation and that you're updating that validation. You're getting data back from clients, and that includes industry surveys, so looking at industries, but it's also your feedback forms that you're getting from your clients as well, so quality indicators or training evaluation forms. Trainer assessor feedback, so we have a trainer's report that you use for collecting that, and then complaints and appeals. So one of the documents that we developed that we find is really important for managing this standard basically is this continuous improvement strategy. So we've developed this document called a continuous improvement strategy as part of your policies and procedures that actually identifies this is the data we collect, who we collect it from, so who are the people we collect it from, the types of data we collect, how we're going to collect that data, so there's different forms and things like that that we're going to use. There's under training and assessment, client services and management systems, when we're going to collect it, how we're going to analyse it, who is responsible for collecting that data, how we're going to act upon it, and the implementation for improvements. And one of the main things that we've got on how we're going to act on that data is you're going to hold a monthly quality and compliance meeting. So we've actually stated in the policy and procedure, but it's also in this continuous improvement strategy, that you're going to hold monthly quality and compliance meetings. This monthly quality and compliance meeting, you can call it whatever you like. If you want to call it something else, the only reason why we've called it quality and compliance is because it ties in with the quality and compliance manual. So that's why we've called it quality and compliance meeting. This quality and compliance meeting is how you're going to tie together all that data you're collecting. So one is opportunities for improvement, complaints and appeals, WHS, quality indicator or student feedback forms, industry consultation, trainers feedback. We've got a continuous improvement cycle, which we'll have a look at that today as well. Any changes to training products, and then you've got your general admin and things like that that we go through. Part 2 of this continuous improvement strategy is all the forms that we collect, and so in this column on the left-hand side is all the forms where we collect data. So that's all these are every form that you have in your kit with all our policies and procedures. Then in the second column is the types of data that we collect on that form. So for example, the first one is the quality indicator form. We have the employer questionnaire and the learner questionnaire. The types of data we're collecting is feedback on training and assessment that was provided by the RTO to both students and employer. And the feedback includes feedback on trainers and assessors, assessment tools, training outcomes, and things within the training. We're collecting that data from students and employers. We're going to collect that data on the completion of each training. So you normally do quality indicators at the end of each course, and that's the requirements of ASPA, is that you complete quality indicators at the end of each course. We're going to analyse that data as it comes in, and then once a month you're going to review any quality indicators that come in at your quality and compliance meeting. So that's one of the agenda items of your monthly meetings, is holding that, is reviewing quality indicator data that's collected. How we're going to do that is we're going to use the quality indicator form that is provided by ASQA, and I'm just going to bring up that form for you so that you can have a look at that form. Quality indicator. So this is the form over here. So these are one of the documents that we provide you, but you can also download this from ASPA as well. So this is the quality indicator form where you'll be collecting the data from, which will be part of that continuous improvement. So for every course that you hold, you will be distributing one of these forms to every single student, and the students will be required to complete that form. And then once a year, you're to provide a summary report to ASQA. What we're recommending is that you do a summary report every month and then collate your summary reports at the end of the year. And it's actually NCVR that you're submitting it to, and you'll collect all that data and submit it to NCVR. The reason why we're saying do it once a month is so that you remember to do it. And also it's so that you can review that data that you've collected on a monthly basis instead of a yearly basis. So you can actually do a snapshot on how you're going instead of once a year going, oh, what did we do in the last year? Are our students having any issues? Because you see some of the questions that they're asking in this form. These are things that you'll need to know on an ongoing basis. It shouldn't be something you're only reviewing once a year. So that's what we're recommending in our policies and procedures, is that you're going to distribute this once a month. Now that's up to you whether you do that or not. That's what we've put in the policy and procedure manual, and it's up to you whether you do that or not. But it's something we recommend on an ongoing basis. So that's just an example of one of the forms of data that you're collecting as part of your continuous improvement strategy, and that you'll be monitoring through your monthly meeting. In the column where we've put who's responsible, we've always put the RTO manager in. Now you can change that to whoever is responsible within your RTO, and I highly recommend, if it's not the RTO manager, that you do change that to whoever it is. But we've just put it in as the RTO manager because generally that's who's going to be responsible. The DPR, or the standard, sorry, in this column is what standard does that relate to? So the quality indicator form relates to DPR, which is the data provisioning regulations, 6. So that's where our quality indicators is. So as you will see, there is a number of forms that we've got in here, which is pretty much all the forms that are included in the in our package. So I recommend, and this is what I recommend to all of our clients, before you go to audit, or as part of your process of reviewing this package, is that you review this continuous improvement strategy on all of the forms, and you'll get a much better understanding. It's also a great form to distribute to new staff so that they get a good understanding of what data you're collecting and why you're collecting that data and how we use that data to improve the practices throughout the organisation. Now, if you have any questions at any time, please do not hesitate to pop that question in the chat section, because it helps me, particularly if you're stuck in an area, to pop that question in there, so that way I can answer those questions as we go along. If you have any questions right now about continuous improvement strategy, please place that in now, and then I'll be able to answer that question as we go along. But it works much better with this webinar if I get some interaction from you guys, because sometimes I feel like I'm just sitting here chatting away to myself and I actually don't have anybody else I'm talking to. So if you give some questions, I'm quite happy to answer them as I go along. Okay, so that's the continuous improvement strategy. And if I don't have any questions, I'm going to move on from there. And it looks like I do. Do you have a schedule template or something similar we can implement? Good question, Ben. Great question. Okay. So in the Q&C manual, so we're back up to the Q&C manual here, I actually have a continuous improvement cycle. I'll just get to that page. It's just before the first standard. And this continuous improvement cycle is what you're going to use at your monthly meeting. That's this page. I'll just get on page. So this is your continuous improvement cycle. So if you go to page 19 of your Q&C manual, you'll be able to see the continuous improvement cycle. So in that, you're having difficulty, someone's having difficulty hearing me? Is anybody else having difficulty hearing me? The sound is really bad. I mean, you're okay, Ben? So I've just turned my volume up. Does that help? Jade's good. Eunice, is that helping now, the volume? Yep, better. Okay, all right. It's choppy and delayed. Okay, so that's generally going to be your internet that's affecting that. So please note, I will be this is being recorded. This session is being recorded, and you'll get access to this session following the registration, following this workshop, webinar. So if it doesn't come out very clear, you will get a copy of the video recording. I hope that helps you, Eunice. Okay, so the continuous improvement cycle includes in that cycle, how are you going to manage your continuous improvement on a monthly basis? So when you hold your monthly Q&C meeting, you'll be looking at different standards each month. So for example, for the month of August, it's standards 3.1, 3.2, 3.3, 3.4. So what you should be doing then is, for that month, you're going to look at those standards. So if you go to 3.1, on the heading, go to 3.1. So you'll see here I've clustered 3.1, 3.2, 3.3 together so that you can review those together. So the way I've clustered on the continuous improvement cycle is how you should be reviewing it on your monthly meeting. So if I just go back to the continuous improvement cycle. I'll get back to that page. Okay, so the continuous improvement cycle says 3.1, 3.2, 3.3, 3.4. I've actually clustered those together. Okay, so we go 3.1, 3.2, 3.3. So I hope that makes sense. So you will be reviewing that. Now, what that means is before your monthly meeting or before your monthly meeting, you should be reviewing those standards. So the way you can do it, you can either get everyone who's going to attend the meeting to read that policy and procedure before you go to the meeting, or you do a quick review at the meeting. Now, the problem is if you do it at the meeting, it's going to take a bit longer for you to do it at the meeting than it would be if they were to read it beforehand, depending on the standards, because some of them are quite big. So, and then when you get to the meeting, what you should do is then go, okay, for standard 3.1, 3.2, 3.3, 3.4, are we doing this? So when we've read the policy and procedure, are we doing this? If we're not doing this policy and procedure, we're not following that process, do we need to change the policy and procedure, or should we be actually implementing this? This is something that we need to implement within our organisation, this policy and procedure. If we need to change it, should we do an opportunity for improvement? Yes, you should do an opportunity for improvement if you're going to change it, and then amend it so that it actually meets your organisation's requirements. So it should be within a 12-month period, you've actually reviewed every single policy and procedure through this continuous improvement cycle. And that way, you'll get a better understanding, well, are we actually implementing these policies and procedures? 2, if we're not, why aren't we, and how can we continue to improve that? 3 is, if we're not actually implementing it, and we should be, it's a reminder every month of what that policy and procedure is and how you should be implementing it throughout your organisation. So it's a really good practice for looking at, okay, we have these policies and procedures, are we implementing them? If we're not, how do we implement them, and how can we continually improve? And then over a 12-month period, you're going to have a really good understanding of those policies and procedures. What happens is a lot of our clients get concerned, particularly if they're going to initial registration audit. If I'm going to this initial registration, do I need to know all of these policies and procedures before I get to my audit? No. ASQA is not going to expect that you're going to need to know. It's a bit different when you're going for re-reg, but for initial registration, they're not going to expect that you're going to know every policy and procedure off the top of your head. They're not going to expect that at all. They'd expect you to have a policy and procedure manual in place, and they expect that you'd be implementing that you're going to implement those policies and procedures throughout your organisation. And then that way, and that you're going to be doing this continuous improvement cycle and reviewing every month. So thanks, Ben. I'm glad to see that's what you're looking for and that this actually makes sense. Great. And it's good to get that feedback. Okay. So is there any other questions around that continuous improvement cycle and then how you're going to implement this on a monthly basis? Please post that under the chat now. And I'm going to move on to the next section. Yeah, great. Okay. And I've just had someone state, oh, we're doing initial registration, so that's fine. Yeah, so we would not have to do that. Okay, no, you don't have to have held a monthly meeting yet. I'm just going to stop screen share and go back to me. No, you don't have to have held a meeting. No, sorry. You don't have to have done that continuous improvement yet if your initial registration, but we strongly recommend before your initial registration audit that you hold some meetings and that you have some minutes. And the reason why is because ASCA will want to see, the auditor will want to see that you're going to implement this, and evidence of you implementing everything that we've provided you is holding monthly meetings and actually following some of the processes. And one of the processes is that policy and procedure on your Q&C meeting, and that you're going to hold your monthly meeting. So we strongly recommend before you have your initial registration audit, and if you're up for re-reg, particularly if you're up for re-reg or any other audit, is that you hold some meetings and that you have some minutes of those meetings. Okay, so what I'm going to bring up now is the minute template that we've provided you. So I'm just going to bring that back to screen share. Back. Okay, right, go back to screen share. All right, so you're going to see now that I have a minute template. This minute template is actually included with your package. You'll have access to this this minute template, and there's also an agenda one. So I'm just going to show you the agenda as well. So we have the agenda one there as well. A meeting agenda, these are the agenda topics in this column here, showing you what the agenda topics are. So you'll see all of these relate around standard 2.2. Actually, and essentially every single policy and procedure that we have in that Q&C manual relates around 2.2, 2.1 and 2.2. So 2.1 is if you're non-compliant in any other standard, you're going to be non-compliant in 2.1. 2.2 is how we're going to ensure that you're compliant with 2.1, is that you're going to hold monthly meetings, and the other thing you're going to do is hold yearly internal audits. So those yearly internal audits can either be you do it yourself, or you could get someone like us to come in and do the internal audit for you, which is what the majority of our clients do, is because it's a really good idea to get outside eyes to come in and have a look at your organisation once a year, because often what happens if you do your own internal audits, you know what you know and you don't know what you don't know. So if you're doing your own internal audits, you get a bit complacent. Whereas if you bring some new eyes in, you've got someone who knows what you don't know, having a look at your organisation and making sure that it's complying, and in particular looking at what's happening with ASCA audits, because we have experience of ASCA audits and what they're looking for as well. Okay, so we've got this agenda. We highly recommend that you just start using the agenda as part straight away. Now, if you're an existing RTO, which we do have someone on there at the moment, I'd recommend you adjust this agenda so that actually meets your organisation's requirements, because once you get up and going, you'll know there'll be other things that you'll want to add to your minutes as a regular meeting. So by all means, change this, add more to it. We recommend as a minimum that you keep those top 6 as agenda items, and also changes the training package, so number 8 as well. You keep those as your agenda items and just add other ones, but you can change any of the other ones around. Now, Ben's just asked if we have annual Vivacity membership, is a yearly audit included? We give you a special discount, Ben, for that yearly audit. So you have access to those policies and procedures, forms and documentation, the webinars, and you'll have the Ask Viv forum that will be coming very soon. It's coming within the next 3 weeks. It's the Ask Viv forum. But we do a special discount, because if you already have our policies and procedures, forms and documentation, I don't need to audit that. I just need to audit that you have implemented them. So a standard systems check, but from an external, so someone's not a client of ours and haven't got our policies and procedures, is $3,500. For a client who's already got our policies and procedures, we come for 1 day and it's only $1,500. So I'm hoping that answers your question, Ben. So we do a special discount for you. Bargain, I know, absolute bargain, isn't it? Okay, All right, so this is the agenda that we recommend that you use for your meetings. Now, the way I've set it up is you can see I've got here that you can put your discussions in here, and you can actually take this to your meeting and write your notes in here. And we highly recommend that you do that. This agenda list is to be distributed to everyone who's attending the meeting so that they can actually write their own notes in there as well, and particularly what action they have to take. And so we can actually put in there what action is going to be happening with each one of these. And that's what ASPA want to see. They're more focused, minutes of your meetings should be focused on what action items you need to take, but also decisions that were made. So if you've made a decision within your organisation, how do you process that? Eunice just asked about annual membership. By all means, we'll be telling you all about annual membership. We'll get you some more information about that. Annual membership is something that we've just introduced this year. So it's for it's for clients and non-clients who want to come in, and that membership is you'll get continual updated policies and procedures, forms and documentation on an ongoing basis, on a yearly basis, basically, and you'll get access to these webinars. We can send you more information about that, Eunice. I'll get that over to you. Okay, so that's your agenda template, and then this is the minutes template. So this is where you type your minutes so that you can then distribute it. So you actually put who was the facilitator of the meeting, who attended, who was the minute taker, and then the actual minutes and what action is being taken. Now, it's up to you within your organisation and how your organisation works. You could just handwrite your minutes in here and keep this as a record of your minutes if you'd like to, depending on how big your organisation and how you work. Now, we have some clients where there's me, myself and I running in the RTO. Still write minutes, still get in the habit of doing that and get some minutes there, because even though it's me, myself and I, this is your evidence that you're collecting that you're doing your continuous improvement. One of the things that we recommend is just get this minute template, and particularly for your pre-audit, get into audit, fill out one of these, and then you can copy this a couple of times, because opportunity for improvement, there may not be very many. WHS, more often than not, is going to be nil. You're going to have nil, and every now and again you might have something in there, so you just put not applicable, nil. Complaints and appeals, the same thing. More often than not, you're going to have nil. Quality indicators, you should have some. So basically what you're putting in your minutes here for quality indicators is we distributed this many forms, we got this many forms back, and in general, this is the feedback that we've got, and if we had to take any action from that feedback. So that's what you're doing under quality indicators. How many forms you distributed, how many you got back, and this is the feedback we got from that. You may have got other client feedback that may not have been through the quality indicators. This is where you put that feedback as well. So you can pop that under this section as well, and you've got then evidence of how you've had feedback from students about anything within your organisation. So that could be employers, or it could be students, and it could be feedback on training and assessment, trainers, your organisation, your marketing, any sort of feedback that's going to improve your practices throughout your organisation. Okay. Don't mind me, I haven't just skipped these OFIs, WHS and complaints and appeals. I will be getting back to those, so I will come back to those, and I'm actually going to have a look at the forms and how you'll collect data on that. I'm just doing a quick review of the meeting minutes. Now, industry consultation. What we find is with the majority of our clients, they do industry consultation all the time. There's always someone out there talking to someone, chatting about something, and you're getting that industry consultation all the time. Problem is, we're not formalising it, and it's not in a way that we can actually go, here, ASPA auditor, here's some evidence of us doing some industry consultation. The best way we can do that is at your monthly meeting, you say, okay, industry consultation, everybody in the room, who did industry consultation in the last month? And then we talk about it. Okay, I spoke to, it was about, this is the action we took, this is what we improved, this might have been some business that we got out of that. We talked about, it could be one, we talked about changes in qualifications and how that's going to affect the industry, and it could be consultation with employers, it could be consultation with other RTOs, it could be consultation with industry skills councils, it could be all sorts of things that you've done. So a major change that's happened today, for example, is the Community Services Industry Skills Council has done a major overhaul, quite a few qualifications, including aged care and community services and disabilities and those sort of sectors. So one of the things that we've done today is we've booked into the Industry Skills Council workshop for those changes. So this is a perfect example of what we could talk about industry consultation. Industry consultation doesn't just have to be with a consultation with someone in business. It could be consultation with someone in Industry Skills Council, and this is a perfect example. So one of the things I've put in there, this could come under changes in training packages, which is number 8 down here, but it could also be in here. We've booked in for the Industry Skills Council workshop. So that's an example of something that you could put in there. Okay. Any questions about industry consultation that we could throw in there as well? Just throw your question in. I'll move on. I'm checking your chat, so if you have one, just pop that in there. So I just talked about the continuous improvement cycle. So this is where you'd minute that. So where you go to the Q&C manual and you have a look at that continuous improvement cycle. I'm just trying to find it. So you have a look at that. You've looked at the those standards in the continuous improvement cycle. That's when we would then minute that in here. What do we find? So you should have read the policy and procedure within those standards, reviewed it here, and just said in here you would type reviewed standards 3.1, 3.2, 3.3, and 3.4. So that's what you would put in there. And then you would put, this is what we found. We are not currently following this policy and procedure. Need to implement. So that would be something you could pop in there. Following doesn't want to come up. Type today, it's Friday. That's why I need to go home. Okay, action is, the action would be, we need to implement this. We need to implement the policies and procedures. Okay, we have a question, and one thing I'd like to say, Hameen, no question is a stupid question. If highly likely there's someone else who wants to ask the same question. So by all means, ask any of those questions. But with industry consultation, it means anyone in the business industry, as we are delivering business diploma. Yeah, it could be. So industry consultation includes, so if you're delivering qualifications in that area, it'll be industry in that area. Now business, that's everybody. So you'd be dealing with everybody with business. So industry consultation is industry that will be affected by the training that you're delivering and assessing. It's also the Industry Skills Council, so getting advice from other people who can help you with your delivery of your training assessment. Now, the Industry Skills Council is the people who write the policy, the training package. So they're really good people to be getting in contact with regards to changes in training packages and getting better understanding of those training packages. Industry consultation is with consultants like us. So consultants who come in and can help you with RTO world and complying with the legislation and complying with the standards and continuous improvement throughout your organisation. Okay, great. Thank you, Harmeen. I've made sense. So that's awesome. So industry consultation is everybody, really. Trainers and assessors. You could go to trainers and assessors and ask them for their feedback on training and assessment, and that's industry consultation. Industry consultation is businesses, industry skills councils, workshops. Going to conferences is perfect for industry consultation, because if you go to, and this is conferences for the vet sector, but also conferences for the sector that you're delivering your training and assessment in. So the vet sector would be, for example, a VELG conference, so a VELG training conference or ACPEC conference. Training sector would be, if you're in the business sector, there's heaps of different conferences you can do on business. There's entrepreneurial conferences, there's business conferences. The IBSA, the Industry Skills Council, also has conferences and workshops that you can attend. So there are different ways that you can do industry consultation. Okay. All right, so continuous improvement cycle is what we can, that's the type of data that we can put in there, is how you're going to manage that continuous improvement cycle. General administration and training issues is just basically any other RTO information or stuff that you're discussing. It could be, you know, you're having a training issue. There could also possibly be an opportunity for improvement. So this is where you look at it and go, is this an opportunity for improvement, this issue that we have, or is this just something we can just discuss in general? One of the questions I get asked a few times is, what's the difference between just a general thing that we're going to fix and an opportunity for improvement? An opportunity for improvement can be completed by a student, a trainer, admin, could be someone external to your organisation, so it could be industry that would complete it. And then I'm just going to bring up that opportunities for improvement form so you can get a better understanding of that form. So this is the opportunity for improvement form. So I've said over here, these are the different people who could complete the opportunity for improvement. So an opportunity for improvement is something, a mechanism that you can have in place where trainers and assessors and students and admin staff can identify something that could be improved throughout your organisation, where they can formally put in a form for that opportunity for improvement through your organisation. And it's a great way to demonstrate to ASPLA, but also how to maintain that compliance throughout your organisation on an ongoing basis. So if someone says, oh, I've got an idea or something that will improve the practices of your RTO, give them one of these. Give them this opportunity for improvement form and get them to fill out that opportunity for improvement form, because that's certainly going to be a great way. So the idea is, with opportunities for improvement, come to me with solutions, not problems. That's what I tell my staff all the time. So they should put in here details of what they think the weakness is. One example that I've given in the past is toilet paper. Might sound like a really strange opportunity for improvement. I had a situation where I went from a small training room to a big training room. We had 2 small training rooms that when we had on average 10 students a week, to 5 training rooms where we had over 100 students per week. And one of the things that we took into consideration is we're going to need more coffee and tea and a bigger fridge and more toilets and more tables and chairs and things like that. But something we didn't take into consideration was the fact that we had more people using our toilets and that they were going through the toilet paper like there was no tomorrow. We had a whole class submit complaints. Every single student in the class submitted complaints that there wasn't enough toilet paper. When we got those complaints, we stapled them to the back of an opportunity for improvement, and we actually put in here that the date was identified. So let's just say 21 May 2015. The title of the OFI was toilet paper. So that's what we put in here. The form was completed. So it's whoever's completing the form. So I just put that I'm completing it. It could be that the RTO manager is responsible. So that's what you would put in there. The relevant SNI is client services and looking after clients. I'm just trying to think what standard this would be under. Looking after student responsibilities. I think it would be actually be under resources, which is standard 1.4, which is that you have sufficient resources throughout your organisation. If you don't know what standard it is, do a search on the Q&C manual, and then you'll find. You won't find toilet paper in there, but if you typed in resources, then you would find in the Q&C manual what resources what standard that comes under. OFI register number, so that's when you put it into the register, this is the register. So you'd actually put put it into the register here. What that would be the register number, the date, and who completed the form. So that's just a breakdown of what was on this form here. And then you say toilet paper not enough, or whatever you want to put in there. The solution we came up with was install big toilet roll holders. And that's the sort of thing that you put in an opportunity for improvement. So it's pretty simple. We want to keep it simple. We don't want to make it difficult. You want to make it as easy as possible, but this is a good mechanism. So then we would complete this opportunity for improvement, and then we get to the monthly meeting and we discuss that at the monthly meeting. So we'd go, okay, what opportunities for improvement, or we call them OFIs, did we have in the last month? Let's discuss them. We had an issue with toilet paper. Our solution was we implemented big toilet rolls. And then these minutes are then distributed to everyone within the organisation. So all trainers and assessors and admin staff would get this, and they would see, oh, we had this OFI. The OFI was we didn't have enough toilet paper. Before you get a whole heap of complaints from the rest of your RTO, from the rest of the students within your RTO, all of your trainers can now see, oh, they're doing something about that toilet paper issue. I can now see that it's in the minutes. And that's the whole purpose of the minutes, is that everyone's learning throughout the organisation from other OFIs, from other WHS instances, from other complaints and appeals. So we're not repeating the same mistakes and everyone's learning from it. And that's the purpose of your Q&C meeting. It's not necessarily so that we have minutes to show the auditor. The purpose of the Q&C meeting is so that we're tying together all this continuous improvement through opportunities for improvement, WHS and complaints and appeals and continuous improvement cycle, and everyone's learning from it. And then you're distributing it and everyone's learning from it, and this is how we're maintaining the continuous improvement throughout our organisation. And this is why it's really important. We've had clients where we've come back a year later now, so we've had two audits recently that we've gone back a year later to do a systems check on their RTO. And guess what we didn't find? We didn't find any minutes from any meetings. And so what happened was they've been holding meetings, but they didn't have any minutes. And I said, well, how are you demonstrating continuous improvement if you don't have any minutes to be able to distribute to anybody? Okay, and so what was that one? Could we request copies of webinars? Yes, you definitely can. Yeah, you'll get a recording of this, Eunice. You'll be getting a recording of this webinar, and you can distribute this to all your staff. I'm quite happy for you to distribute this webinar to everyone on your team. I hope that answers your question. Okay, and so what's really important is we hold this monthly meeting, you collect this evidence, and then you distribute it to everybody, and they're all learning. They're all learning from your continuous improvement. And as I said, even if the RTO is me, myself, and I, you get in the practice of this so that when you do get more stuff. So when I started my RTO, I only had a couple of people. There wasn't just me, myself, and I, but there was only a couple of people, and we only had, a handful of trainers and a couple of admin staff. By the time I sold it 3 years later, we had over 40 training staff, and we had eight admin staff across 2 sites, so we're all over the place. So this is the best way to be able to distribute and making sure that everyone on your team is on track for continuous improvement throughout their organisation. So even if you've only got a small team holding your monthly meeting, they can all learn from that monthly meeting and that continuous improvement through the monthly meeting. And this is why we hold these monthly meetings. So we're maintaining that continuous improvement throughout their organisation. Okay, with the minutes, sometimes we could, for example, that we want to implement ABC, and that later down the track we do not implement it due to EFG. How would we explain why we do not do ABC? Perfect, yeah. You could do an O5 for that. Or you could just have it under your general training issues, general administration and training issues, where you go, okay, in the minutes we said we were going to do this, but now we're not. Now we're doing this, this, and this. And we've minuted it, and then we distribute it to all of our staff so that they can see, okay, in the past, this is what we were going to do, but now this is what we're doing. Does that make sense, Hameen? It does? Yeah, great, great. Thank you. Okay, all right, what I'm going to do is share that desktop again, just so you can see those minutes again. We'll just go down to the end of the minutes. Okay. So that's where I was talking about general admin issues. Yes, you can certainly, if you had something that was happening and now it's not, and now we've decided to, so for example, that continuous improvement cycle, it could have been the policies and procedures. We're supposed to be doing this, but we're not. Why aren't we doing that? This is why, and this is what we're going to do to improve that. Okay? Okay, so the next section is training packages. This is on here because training packages change, and they change on average every 3 to 4 years. So you need to have this as an agenda item. Now, if your training package hasn't changed, you just leave this as nothing changed, not applicable because nothing's changed. But when it does change, then you can go in here and go, okay, there's been a change in training package. These are the qualifications on our scope that have been affected by that, and these are the action items that we need to do. And one of the first things that you're going to do is you're going to have to go to the policy and procedure and look at transition. So you need to transition from superseded training packages. So there should be a heading on that. Training package product supervision. I'll just get that to page width. So we've actually got a whole policy and procedure on training product transition, and this would tell you exactly what to do. So you'd have on that minutes that you need to transition from the superseded training package, and you know you need to go to the policy and procedure on that, on how to transition from a superseded training package. And this tells you everything you need to do, what you need to do, how to submit it, if you've got to change the whole training package. I'm not going into that today. I just want to show you how we use those policies and procedures. Okay, so for example, if you're an RTO that had Certificate 3 in aged care work or aged care on your scope, that has been affected as of today because we've got a new training package. So you'd actually type in here, training package, new training package released today, need to commence transition from superseded training package. Training, can't type. And then that's what you would put in the action items there, is that you've got to commence the transition. And you then go, and you might even do this at your meeting. You actually go in here and go, okay, what do we need to do? Okay, so we need to review and map the old training product to the new training product. We need to review, we need to actually start doing some assessment validation because we need to review our assessment tools, and it actually tells you in there what to do. Same with opportunity for improvement. If you don't know how to do an opportunity for improvement, just do a search in your Q&C manual for improvement, and it will actually tell you here how to do an opportunity for improvement. Let's see if I can find this heading for it. Improvement. Find one. Should be this one. That's how quick you can find it. I might go with headings. Improvement. Sorry, I'll find that. Support. Oh, I'm finding this really quickly, aren't I? It's really bad. Okay, I know it's under 2.2. I'll go to 2.2. Okay. So if you want to know opportunity for improvement, so this is how you hold your monthly meetings. So that's under 2.2, quality and compliance meetings. This is the continuous improvement cycle, and here is your opportunity for improvement. I think I must have put improvements, and that's why I couldn't find it. And this is how you do an opportunity for improvement, how you complete the form and how you submit it and what the process is for that. Okay. All right, so that's training package. Previous minutes, business, that's if you've got something from the last meeting that you want to carry over to the next meeting. Business arising is something new that's not on the agenda that you want to bring up at that meeting. Business without notice is something similar to that one above, so you could actually delete that line if you didn't want that on there. And then when we're going to hold our next meeting. So that's the meetings. I just want to also do a review of the other forms. So this is the complaints and appeals form. So this complaints and appeals form, the opportunity for improvement form, and the WHS form, incident form, is on the back of the student handbook. So they could submit a complaint at any given time or an opportunity for improvement, and the whole policy and procedure is on the back of the manual. So this is the complaints and appeals form. So this is part of your continuous improvement that they hold, that they complete these forms as well. And once again, the policy and procedure is in the manual. And this is your WHS 1 form. And that's the form that they complete there. So once a month, you should be reviewing any of these forms that have been completed at your monthly meeting. And if there has been no forms, you're just going to put in there not applicable. No, so no forms submitted this month. And then action, nil. So you would have there, nil in there. Okay. All right, so that's your monthly meetings. Any questions about those monthly meetings? Please post them now. The only other form that I wanted to have a look at, so I'm going to look at the policy and procedure. The other thing you need to do in order to manage your continuous improvement is holding those annual internal audits. So the annual internal audit is you either do an audit yourself, and what we recommend is in the policy and procedure is that you actually use the audit report form that ASQA provides. So they have a form that you can use for doing audits. So if you just click on that link, that's the form that they use when they go to audit. So you can either use this form for conducting audits yourself, or alternatively, as I recommend, that you should bring someone, you know what you know and you don't know what you don't know, get someone else in and they can do the audit for you. And we strongly recommend we do this for our clients. And as I said, it's a bargain for all of our clients. It's $1,500 for a one-day audit if we come in and do a one-day audit. If you have a lot of qualifications on your scope, we'll most you have to do a two-day, which is a bit more money. But if you've only got up to 5 qualifications on your scope, we'll come in and do a one-day audit. The time, on average, it takes us about an hour to do each unit of competency, to audit each unit of competency. So if you had, and for every qualification on your scope, we're going to have a look at 2 units of competencies, and that's what ASQA does as well. So we do the same. So with each form, should we keep logs with these forms? Yes, 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 definitely. So that was Harmeen who asked that. With the opportunity for improvement, complaints and appeals, and WHS, we have a register. So you have registers here, and this is where you'll keep a register of all of those forms. So that form that we just completed for opportunity for improvement, you put the date for that, who completed the form, like the one we had, for example, was toilet paper. The outline of the weakness is not enough toilet paper, and the outcome was install new toilet paper rolls. And that's what you put on the register. Now, you can either use the register as the Excel spreadsheet, or you can handwrite it on there. So it's up to you how you want to do it. Depends on how your organisation runs. But we recommend you use the spreadsheet, and then you bring that spreadsheet to your monthly meetings, and then in the last month, oh, yep, we had 1 opportunity for improvement, and we discussed that at the meeting, and then we put, and we have here, yes, we discussed it at the meeting. So or you put what date that meeting was. So if we say it was today, so 7 August 15, so we know we discussed it on the 7th of August 15. So we know that we discussed it at that meeting. And that's how we record it, and that's how ASQA want to see it. Eventually, what we're doing with Unicorn is we're going to have these registers on Unicorn. So you will have access to these registers on Unicorn eventually. That's our ultimate goal with Unicorn, is that will be your continuous improvement. Everything will be in there for your continuous improvement, and you'll be able to manage it within there. The other thing that we're going to be doing, I'm going to stop sharing that screen now. The other thing that we're going to be doing with Unicorn is these webinars will be in there, and all the recordings of these webinars will also be in there. So we're getting there with Unicorn, and the whole idea with Unicorn is it will be able to manage your continuous improvement on an ongoing basis, and that we can look after you through our Unicorn compliance management system. All right, so that is standard 2.2. Quality and compliance meetings and managing your continuous improvement. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you got a lot out of it. If you have any more questions, we have a couple of minutes left. You want to type any questions in there, please do not hesitate to do so, and I can answer those. I'm hoping you got a lot out of this webinar. As I had stated, there will be a recording of this webinar that I'll distribute following the webinar. You'll get it, if it's not tonight that I distribute, it will be a Monday that I'll distribute it to you, but you'll definitely get a copy of the video. Please watch it, please show it to other staff members. Anybody who didn't attend today will also get access to the webinar, so they can use that on an ongoing basis for looking at how you're going to manage your continuous improvement. No problems with the typos. I had plenty of typos today as well, so please do not apologise for that. I had typos. It's Friday. It's Friday. We want to to get out of here for the end of the day, so the end of the week. Thank you very much for attending today. It's been great having you here. I love the interaction. Thank you for, Friday, yes. And I love getting the interaction from you guys, and I'm really enjoying doing these webinars. And I think it's definitely helps us, and it also helps you for implementing your continuous improvement throughout your organisation. Thank you very much. Have a great weekend, guys. I look forward to catching up with you at the next webinar. Bye. Bye. Thanks, Dave. Thanks, everyone. Catch you next time.